Nothing you can say, nothing's gonna change what you done to me. Now it's time to shine, I'm gonna take what's mine, take what's mine. Hey, I'm Adam, your snake charmer from BlampCo Incorporated, having the voice that has the knowledge and the power to rule your fate since 2015, and welcome to How Adam Would Book, where I craft alternate wrestling storylines and challenge wrestling promotions to do them better, 'cause I'm a smartass. Many thanks to wonderful patron Eric Storm for commissioning this booking video over on my Patreon, in which I'm covering Randy Orton's retirement. And since Randall Keith has been in WWE for legitimately 20 years, buckle the fuck up as we have a lot of ground to cover as I try to condense his decade-spanning career into less than 10 minutes. So, after being kicked out of the Marines in 1999, Randy Orton headed to WWE's then developmental territory, Ohio Valley Wrestling, which is actually still going today and owned by Al Snow. The more you snow. He became part of the infamous graduating class of 2002 as one of what wrestling historians now call the OVW4, who were Randy Orton, John Cena, Brock Lesnar, and Batista. That is quite a good lineup. Also, Shelton Benjamin was there. Sorry, Shelton Benjamin, you're always also there. That's mean. I fucking love Shelton Benjamin. He's doing really good work in AEW. Randy Orton debuted on the main roster in 2002 doing this gesture, which was shit, had this finisher, which was shit, and was a bland face before the wrestling gods smiled on him with the first of many shoulder injuries. He'd provide Randy News Network health updates, and his presumption that people genuinely cared about his well-being turned him into a cocky heel for the first time. You stay you, America. He healed up, joined Evolution in early 2003, got injured again. This was a foot injury, don't update that counter. Batista was injured at the same time, so Evolution very almost didn't happen from the jump. Literally, they both joined, and then Orton and Batista both went down, but then they both returned and the faction properly hit its stride. So began the now infamous gimmick of the Legend Killer. Hey, nothing you can say, nothing's gonna change what you've done to me. I unironically like that song. Like any good escort, Randy Orton would target older gentlemen and go to town on them. Over the years, he killed the legends of Shawn Michaels, Sergeant Slaughter, Ric Flair, Jake Roberts, Jerry Lawler, Dusty Rhodes, the Fabulous Moolah, the most dangerous of all, and most of all, Mick Foley, who he'd pin at WrestleMania 20, then again at Backlash 2004 in a beautiful hardcore match. He also had a fairly famous run with the IC title during this time, dropped it a month before SummerSlam 2004, and at that show, they put him over Chris Benoit to become the new World Heavyweight Champion, still, to this day, holding the record for the youngest WWE World Champion ever, partially to erase Brock Lesnar, the previous record holder, from the record books, as he just fucked off to do NFL. Right back at you, buddy. Orton got kicked out of Evolution, but did not get over as a babyface, mostly because Triple H ended his reign after exactly 1 month like a fucking dork. His babyface spot at Mania versus Triple H was filled instead by Batista, and Orton reverted to being a little shitpants and feuding with Taker over the streak, the ultimate legend to kill. And actually, he became the first Undertaker WrestleMania opponent who properly made the streak the focal point of their feud. So well done, Randy. Hey! He lost at WrestleMania 21, but he did beat Undertaker at SummerSlam that year, stayed a malevolent heel, telling Rey Mysterio that Eddie Guerrero was down there in hell less than 3 months after Eddie Guerrero died, which was an angle that had Vicky Guerrero's blessing, because she thought that Eddie Guerrero would be like, lol, that's fine. But still, watching it as an audience member and loving Eddie as we all did, oof. Perhaps it was a result of losing his main event push, but this was Randy Orton's asshole era, as he was, by his own admission, a right dick backstage, eventually leading to him being suspended for 2 months due to unprofessional conduct. He got shuffled down the card, losing to Hulk Hogan at SummerSlam, then formed the mid-card duo Rated RKO. Eventually, he worked his way back up to feuding with John Cena for the WWE title at SummerSlam 2007. After that, he debuted the punt against John Cena's dad, John Cena Senior. Then John Cena Cena John Cena Jr. got injured. Orton got promoted once again to being world champ for the first time in 3 years. He was given the title by Vince, immediately lost it to Triple H that same night, then won it back that same night, all at No Mercy 2007. WWE have always been mental. He held the title until Backlash 2008. He tried to get it back off Triple H, but broke his collarbone, being dumped out of the ring in potentially history's dumbest spot. I am just not sure what they expected to happen. While recuperating, he also got involved in a motorcycle accident before returning in September 2008 to form Legacy with Ted DiBiase Jr. and some other guy no one's ever heard of. Just kidding, the other guy was Manu. Just kidding, the other guy was Sim Snooker. Just kidding, the other guy was Cody Rhodes. The gimmick of Legacy was they were all sons and/or grandsons and/or welfare fund fraud accomplices of previous generation wrestlers, and during this time, Randy Orton started hearing voices in his head. They wouldn't stop till you were dead. They talked to him. They talked to him. He kicked Vince in the head in a spot that's aged well, kissed an unconscious Stephanie McMahon in front of her husband, which hasn't as much, won the Royal Rumble in 2009, had a brilliant home invasion feud with Triple H that culminated in a deeply fucking boring match at WrestleMania 25, the 24th anniversary of WrestleMania. 2009 also saw the hot potato feud with John Cena, where they wrestled at SummerSlam, Breaking Point, Hell in a Cell, and Bragging Rights, with the belt changing hands 3 times in 2 months. Legacy, like all stables, eventually would break up, so began what's known in the industry as the boring babyface years of 2010 to 2013, where Randall killed the new Nexus single-handedly by kicking all of them in the head, immediately ruined Christian's world title run, but had an amazing summer-long feud with him, so I guess that's okay, and then karma came back around when he lost the title clean to Mark Henry. Fucking lol at that. He also briefly got written off TV by The Shield to heal an injury. He teamed with Team Hell No to end The Shield's winning streak. Then he had a micro weak link feud with Daniel Bryan before winning Money in the Bank, cashing in on Bryan, and lo, the Authority was born and wouldn't go away for 3 years. We've been going for a while, but don't worry, we still have another 10 years to go. He lost to Bryan at WrestleMania 30. At SummerSlam, he got fed to Roman Reigns, this hot new prospect that everyone spent the next 6 years really liking. Did that all-time RKO at WrestleMania 31 to Seth Rollins, fannied around with Sheamus at SummerSlam, got another shoulder injury fighting the Wyatt, fought Lesnar at SummerSlam when he got his fucking head caved in. He joined the Wyatt family, incomprehensibly won the Royal Rumble again, burned down Bray's spooky shed, visited his spooky house and his spooky fridge, lost the WWE title to Jinder Mahal, fucking spectacular few months for this lad, turned heel and just sort of did stuff, became briefly obsessed with Jeff Hardy's earlobes. That's fucking disgusting. He had a terrible last man standing match with Edge in the pandemic. He tried to kill people with night vision goggles, randomly becoming WWE champion for 2 weeks. He set the Fiend on fire, got Hadouken by Alexa Bliss with his comedy face burns. He did not have a Firefly Funhouse match, despite the fact that he should have had a fucking Firefly Funhouse match, but instead he blew off the Terrible Fiend feud with a Terrible Fiend match at WrestleMania. He became best friends with Matt Riddle to form the genuinely endearing RK Bro, before being sidelined for over a year with a really serious back injury, returning to become Bezzy mates with former Legacy mate Cody Rhodes on exactly the same night that CM Punk also returned. In a sign that he might generally be winding down, he lost to Logan Paul at WrestleMania 40. That's never a good omen. Went from friendship to feud with KO, which was unfortunately curtailed mere weeks before WrestleMania 41 by Kev's neck injury. So he beat Joe Hendry at Mania instead. He had one last match with John Cena at Backlash, which he lost via a rogue R-Truth. He lost the King of the Ring finals to Cody Rhodes, and then he did a big old grumpy face, which got everyone thinking, yay, he hears voices in his lobes, he'll beat the dick off Cody Rhodes. They talk to him. As we sit poised on the first proper Randy Orton heel turn in years, after Cody, what is left for Randall to accomplish in his career? He is a Money in the Bank winner. He is a 2-time Royal Rumble winner, a 14-time world champion. What is left before he rides off into the sunset like cowboy Randy Orton? Well, I have an idea of how to book a final run for the Legend Killer, the Viper, the Apex Predator. WWE, do it better. Hello, hope you're enjoying this Randy Orton booking video. Did you know this is actually a re-release? We originally had this as a Patreon exclusive video over on the BlampCo Patreon, patreon.com/AdamBlampier. You can go there, you can commission your own fantasy bookings, and there's like 5 exclusive ones, some of which will never be released on YouTube, like WCPW invading WWE, the reunion of 3MB with Heath Slater being made world champion. That one is actually surprisingly good. So to help us keep the lights on here at BlampCo, head on over to our Patreon and check them out. They're really good. On with the booking. Bye! But the next person you're going to see is me, so bye, but then hello. So when approaching this video, let's make like a tiny snake dermatologist and talk about the scale. A lot of my bookings focus on relatively short periods of time, single feud, getting into them in a kind of micro detail, scripts and promos, looking at individual angles. I'm not quite gonna do that for Randy Orton. There'll be a lot of moments in here, but I want to stitch together a handful of feuds into telling one overarching story that hopefully gives Randy the send-off he deserves in actually a few years' time. I see this story finally paying off in 2027. I don't know what the world's gonna be like then. This is one of the most zoomed out bookings I've done, and as such, it's very unlikely I'll actually predict any of this correctly, but fuck it. So we start at SummerSlam 2025 after Randall, in my universe at least, loses to Drew McIntyre at Saturday night's main event. That's 2 relatively high profile losses back to back. Cody, in his post King of the Ring promo, name dropped the Legend Killer gimmick. Drew told Randy that his status as legend has been killed. And the final indignity? Randy Orton doesn't even have a match at SummerSlam. The first ever 2-night SummerSlam, and there's no room for the Apex Predator. Sad snake trombone. We're in the main event, Cody versus Cena. The ref goes down, but Cody ducks the belt shot, hits Cena with a crossroads, lifts him up, one more crossroads, lifts him up again, screams, hits him with a 3rd crossroads, grabs the ref, pulls him into the ring, turns around into an RKO. Randy stands over Cody, looks at him with disdain, very slowly backs into... Fun fact, the last person Orton actually successfully punted before Cody was Keith Lee in September 2020. That's not a fun fact. That's a sad fact. In 2020, Orton punted people a little too much, if I'm honest. He went on a spree of kicking Edge, Christian, Ric Flair, HBK, and in one ill-advised episode of Raw, he did it to Drew McIntyre 3 goddamn times. Stop it, WWE. Less of that. I feel like I need a spray bottle. Fucking stop it. We haven't seen the kick land in 5 years, so make it a huge deal. Close out SummerSlam with it. Have Cody taken out on a stretcher, not to be seen again for at least a month, enough time to, for example, shoot a Street Fighter movie. Randy explains his actions, and they're easy for him to explain. He is Randy fucking Orton. No one gets to tell him when his time is up. No one gets to pat him on the back and say, good job. And no one ever gets to trust him. There is nothing more disrespectful you can do to a Viper than give it your trust. He's going to bring his career full circle. He started as the Legend Killer, and now he rebrands himself as the Legend Killer and shows increasing levels of instability, trying to find that perfect middle ground between the 2 best versions of Randy Orton, the person on a mission to kill the competition, and the psychotic villain who hears voices in his bonds. They're telling him that you're a nonce. They talk to him. At Clash in Paris, he faces off against CM Punk, defeats him, loads up for the punt, but Cody returns and runs him off. Cody and Punk have a little moment together, because I think that should be the WrestleMania match. I'm just saying. Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton at Bad Blood inside Hell in a Cell. All of their legacy history is played on. If Ted DiBiase Jr. wasn't allegedly implicated in the biggest misappropriation of funds in Mississippi state history, I'd suggest bringing him in for a segment where Randy punts him to death. But alas, the $1 Million Man's family seems to be truly living the gimmick, so we'll just leave that out. Have Randy RKO Brandy Rhodes instead. Who the hell told her it was open mic night, bitch? Inside Hell in a Cell, Cody wins because what comes next for him is beating Cena to win the championship back at the end of 2025. So Cody pretty much has to win here. He's going to bring the gold back to the company and close out his trilogy of matches with Cena with a win. It's fine. It's okay for Randy to lose here. In fact, it's kind of the point, because this half of the story so far has seen Randy focused on destroying people from his past, closing out old rivalries, and he hasn't actually been able to do it all that much. He is feeling a little inadequate. So Randy starts 2026 by focusing on destroying the person he perhaps has the longest history with and someone he can actually destroy. Early 2026, Rey Mysterio comes down to the ring and talks about his long career with the company when he's interrupted by "His voice is really loud. They tell him to kill Chris O'Dowd. They talk to him." 20 years after their infamous feud in which Randy told Rey that Eddie Guerrero was down there in hell, he wants to validate his legend killer gimmick and take out Rey Mysterio. See, Randy's kind of going crazy. His body's breaking down. He's been in the game too long, but instead of reckoning with his own retirement in a healthy way like Rey is attempting to do now, he's externalizing it all out. And instead of trying to end other people's career, he's trying to prove to himself that he's still the apex predator of WWE, that he is the last legend standing. Cena's gone, Batista is gone, Triple H is gone, Brock is gone. It's just him and Rey from the good old days. Rey tells Randy that he understands. Look, Randy, I get it. Like, wrestling's all you've got left. And Randy kinda loses his mind at that. He says, "What the fuck do you have, Rey Mysterio? Your knees are shot. This business has taken all your friends who are down there in hell. And even your own son hates you." He tells Rey to walk away while he still can. "End your career now, or I'll do it for you." Orton and Rey have a match at the Royal Rumble 2026, which Orton cheats to win, and after the match, Orton loads up, and for the first time since SummerSlam, he connects with another punt. This one to Rey Mysterio, writing him off TV for a long time. If WWE haven't already turned him by this point, this is the thing that turns Dominic Mysterio into a white-hot babyface as he walks down to the ring as Randy Orton tells him, "Hey, no need to thank me, kid." Dom just walks up the steps into the ring and immediately starts wailing on Randy Orton. That's the match at WrestleMania 42. Randy versus Dominic, who officially reunites with his father as Rey announces his retirement. He can't go anymore. Randy saw him off, but Rey bequeaths the first ever mask he wore when he appeared on WWE television all the way back in 2002 to his son, who wears it to beat Randy Orton at WrestleMania. Then he hugs his dad in the ring, and the two of them lay Rey Mysterio's mask on the ring canvas. That is the end of Rey Mysterio. And like it or not, Randy Orton is the last legend standing. At the same show, Bron Breakker beats Seth Rollins to win the World Heavyweight Championship, fulfills the Seth-olution prophecy, and finds his place as Raw's top dog. Make sure that Seth Rollins has a rough WrestleMania. It's Bron's turn now to raise the bar. Prove that anything is possible. Posing with the title for the paparazzi. I like big mutts and I cannot lie. The week after WrestleMania, Kevin Owens returns and reignites his feud with Randy Orton, only with KO now working as the babyface and Randy as the heel. If there's anyone who's good enough on the mic to try and sum up Randy's long career and his current mental state as his mind and body unravels, it's Kevin Owens. This feud lasts for 2 months, KO and Randy each getting a win, and all the while, Bron Breakker is still the champion. After Bron has had a few defenses of that belt, rematch against Seth with a stip, then he is interrupted by "His voice is up his chuff, he's sick and tired, he's had enough, they talk to him." Randy Orton sees a lot of himself in Bron Breakker. Born into this business, acclaimed intercontinental title run, fostered by a veteran who ended up betraying them. But Randy is sick of people calling Braun the future of WWE because Randy Orton is eternal. Randy Orton will never die, and Randy Orton wants, no needs, to win that World Heavyweight Championship one more time. The big gold was the first world title that Randy Orton ever won, and he refuses to hang it all up before winning that belt one last time. Orton versus Breakker takes place at Money in the Bank, but Braun wins clean, drives Orton over the edge. Randy wants another shot. Breakker tells him to get to the back of the line, so Randy forces the issue and goes after Braun's father, Rick Steiner. He breaks into his house, tells him it's time for the old dog to be put down. As Braun can't help but watch, he's watching on the Tron. Randy Orton punts Rick Steiner in the head. All these old wrestlers, you know they'd do it. This leads to a no-holds-barred rematch at SummerSlam. Randy Orton, the Legend Killer, versus Braun, the Legend Breaker. Adam Pearce lets the match happen, but on condition that if Randy doesn't win, he can never again challenge for a world title in WWE forever. At SummerSlam, Bron Breakker once again beats Randy Orton, and Randall is now locked out of challenging for any more world titles, which for someone who's become dangerously obsessed with the state of his career is the final shift that pushes him into a condition that I like to call endgame mental. Randy Orton tells the crowd, "I hear voices in my head. They say to stop before I'm dead, but I can't. I'm addicted to this. I'm not like John Cena. I can't just choose to walk away into Hollywood. Have you seen 12 Rounds 2? The legend of Randy Orton won't just end. It has to be killed." See, the first half of this booking kind of dealt with finishing up Randy's years-old feuds. But now, unlike Cena's last run, Orton's final go before his retirement, that is going to be purely him versus young and upcoming talent coming out of NXT, embracing the spirit of what made him such a hot commodity when he started out, that of a young guy destined for greatness who made a name for himself by taking out veterans. Orton lays down a challenge for someone, anyone, to kill the legend. Between SummerSlam 2026 and WrestleMania 37, that's the slogan for his retirement tour. Cena's was "The last time is now," Randy's is "Kill the legend." But he promises that he is not going to make it easy. As long as he has venom in his veins, he is going to fight, kick, claw, bite, and RKO anyone who steps to him. Anyone who tries to kill the legend better not miss. The first person to try is Javon Evans. Him and Orton run back their match from NXT in 2024. Maybe this time Javon can actually nail that spot that didn't quite pan out last time. I didn't get all of it. Like that match, Evans once again comes up short, but unlike in that match, which ended with Orton raising Evans' hand in respect, Orton brutalizes Javon. "Not good enough," he shouts. He stamps on his head. "Not good enough. Stupid. Stupid." He stands over Evans' prone body. "Let this be a lesson to all of you. This is my final run. This is my legacy. Do not waste my time. Kill the legend, or the legend kills you." He backs into the corner, then hits Javon Evans with the punt. This is what the run consists of. Cena revisited a lot of feuds with older guys, which is fine in terms of charting a full circle narrative, but it also meant slower matches. Structuring Orton's retirement run this way means at least one of the guys will always have a lot of goddamn energy to him. Orton could be the slow, serious power base going up against these young guys and their intensity and their desperation to kill Orton before he, in turn, kills them. Next up, to try and kill the legend, say his name and he appears. Joe Hendry, who was Randy's last moment opponent at WrestleMania 41 after Kevin Owens went down with his neck injury. He returns to fight Randy, and his first match, that was just a bit of fun. Joe basically got to do his entrance, do his pose for RKO, it's over. Then Randy did a bit of Joe Hendry silliness himself. This is Joe Hendry's chance to not only get redemption for that quick loss, but also to show a bit more of his serious side, because Orton basically tells him that if Joe Hendry, the comedian, turns up for their pay-per-view match, then Randy is going to end Joe Hendry's career. Serious Joe Hendry does in fact turn up, but Orton still manages to slither away with a victory, and in frustration RKO's Joe Hendry through the announce table before people finally manage to pull him away. Orton barely survives Obafemi, then gets into a feud with Charlie Dempsey, and again it serves as a cruel warning to the roster, the dangers of trying to be the one to kill the legend, as Orton goes after Dempsey's father, William Regal, breaks into his home, bloodies him. Maybe this is what I need to do, says Randy. Maybe this is what it takes for someone to finally have enough hatred, enough rage, enough poison in their veins to kill the legend. Orton cripples Charlie Dempsey after beating him, and that's what brings him into the crosshairs of a man who spent much of his time in NXT partnered with Charlie Dempsey as part of the No Quarter Catch crew, Miles Bourne. And this is the guy that Randy's going to feud with going into WrestleMania 43, and honestly lads, I just couldn't resist. For those who don't know, Miles Bourne looks and wrestles so goddamn much like Randy Orton that they genuinely feel like father and son. The tattoos, the shaved head with a tuft of hair on top, the picture-perfect dropkick. Remember when Randy Orton had one of those? Bourne does the snap power slam just like Orton. Hell, they've even shot TikToks backstage with Orton correcting Bourne, kind of trying to do one of his poses. Miles Bourne is also the first partially deaf wrestler to compete in WWE, a condition that affects his speech, though he's still a good promo. And look, I'm not going to make the joke that Randy Orton hears voices in his head, but Miles Bourne needs them to speak up. I'm going to let Miles tell that joke for me. He's got a good sense of humor, this lad. Orton brutalizes Dempsey. Other members of the No Quarter Catch crew like Tavian Heights, Ren Sinclair. Drew Gulak returns to WWE for a brief run to try to protect his former proteges and gets bloodied and battered for his trouble. Orton raises the intensity of the feud by kicking Bourne right in the side of the head, the side of his head where he wears his hearing aid, with Orton grabbing him by the head, screaming in his face, "Read my lips. Unless you beat me at WrestleMania, I'm gonna make it so you never hear anything ever again." Miles cuts a promo where he runs down his medical history. In a version of a great promo that he's already cut in NXT, he reminds Orton that he's focusing on his disability, not his ability. And that at WrestleMania, he is finally gonna be the person to kill the legend. In my booking, Night 2 of WrestleMania 43 takes place on Sunday, April 25th, 2027. In 2027, the 25th is a Sunday. I did check, and the reason why I checked is that Randy Orton's main roster debut took place on April 25th, 2002, where he wrestled and beat Hardcore Holly on SmackDown. 25 years later, to the exact fucking day, Randy Orton faces Miles Bourne at WrestleMania 43 and finally loses to an up-and-comer, someone who feels like they've been literally fucking groomed to be his successor. He officially ends his in-ring career. The match ends with Orton going for the punt, but Miles dodges. Randy goes for the RKO. Bourne pushes him into the ropes, then hits an RKO of his own and pins Randy 1, 2, 3. The legend's finally been killed. The next year, Orton headlines the Hall of Fame class of 2028, most likely inducted by John Cena or Triple H. But before then, I think you should properly pair up Bourne and Orton. You can call them Bourneton. Except no, don't do that. And have retired Randy Orton be the grizzled vet imparting all of his earthly wisdom to Bourne as his manager, although most of the time he's trying to convince Bourne to start kicking his opponents in the head. I love the idea of someone's mentor actually being the devil on their shoulder. This is how I would book Randy Orton's retirement. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Many thanks to Eric Storm for commissioning this video over on my Patreon, patreon.com/Adam Blampier. Until next time, get back to work.